Welcome back in Tec Dev Studio and our Unreal Engine learning and beginner tutorial series. So in the last of part we learn about the editor info 2, and this is our part 9 of this tutorial series and the editor info 4. And in this video it's going to be some large also, and also try to basically try to explain you as much as possible about Unreal and also the landscape, foliage and etc. And also we are going to I'm trying to close this tutorial as fast as possible because there's a lot of tutorial still are pending to do. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to show you is about the landscape. So what does the landscape does, and basically the sculpting we already know the basic one, but I'm just going to give more some basic for example the landscape, basically why you can customize the basically the landscape one. Okay, so or you can basically make it or give it shape how you want. Okay, and once you give in the landscape mode, you find there's a lot of thing like a new. With new you can create a new one. There's a scale and other thing available. You can make it large, super large, extreme large. There are lots of variant available. So by default is 63 and the session of 8. You can also make it your session by controlling this thing. You can play with these values, it's on you. Second, you find the import one. So suppose you have already and you want to import from them, or you have a local UI, we call it height map. So you can import the height maps and you can also bring your landscape at here. Then select. The select is basically you can choose any of selected landscape and you can basically customize it by your own scale. Okay, then you find the add. So suppose you create a landscape and you are now end of this landscape, so now you want more pieces, so you can go to add, and just by pressing left mouse you are basically able to get more landscape and in your environment. Okay, that's so totally great. Then for the delete, that is a pretty same. Just select the delete option and then choose wherever you want to delete the piece. Then you find the spin line. The spin line is basically a, if I say like if with the spin line you can do lots of things, like you can make the fence, you can make the walls, you can make the roads. So mostly it's used for this one, but you can also customize it and you can do lots of things with that. The second, you find in the sculpting, you actually find that the shaping method. So once you select the sculpting, at here you can basically see a circle and it's give you some dark area. So why it's basically pointing. You also can see the radius, like how much it is going to be work. And then you find the tool strength, that is basically how much power it is going to be applied at here. Then you find the brush size, so it's basically you can with that you can control the brush size. And then you find the brush fell off, which is basically the blending of this brush. So by default I try to keep it 0.404, which is a actually good blend. Then you find also the brush type. If you have your custom brush type, you can go to the alphas, and here you can basically choose your different type of brush texture and you can apply that and play with that. Also there is some mode available, so you can try with them. So because this is totally a basic tutorial, I'm not going to be teach you super advanced stuff, but yeah, for a beginner what you need, so I'm going to just teach you that. Okay, so at the brush types, now you have a landscape. So now by selecting, you can now just press left mouse and you will be get your shapes basically. So let's quickly create a mountain, something like that. And for getting more fast, we can just increase the value. You can basically play around with that, and yeah, just for a second, just a minute, we just create a full landscape. Okay, like a full mountain stuff and etc. Okay, that's totally fine. Now suppose you created that, but look, this is not smooth, right? It's looking like some potty or poops. So for fixing this thing, you can find the smooth option. Okay, that is pretty easy. Just click on smooth. That is the same, have the value that is strength, that how much power you are going to be applied here, and the brush size and the fail off. So now you can just simply apply it and it will be automatically going to be blend everything. So the landscape will be look more fine. You need just tweak and just just see, when you have some experience on landscape designing, you will basically able to do lots of really good customization. And look, now pretty much it's looking kind of like a mountain. I'm know that it's not totally good at all, but for now whatever we made, it's just totally great, nothing super bad, or it's not looking ugly. Okay, so yeah, it's just about on your brush and how you're making, it's on you. Okay, now once you have something like this, okay, we have a simple sculpture. Now suppose for the erase, what is the basically the erase tool? The erase tool is, suppose you did something and now you want everything in a flat, so you can choose the erase one and you can simply now do something like this and it will be basically make that area to flat. Then you flat the flatter also. Suppose you don't want to make the whole area at a flat, but you want to get this height at the same at here, so you can choose the flatten and then you can choose the left mouse and drag and drop and it will be automatically give you this type of stuff. So with that you are able to do more customize with your landscape and other stuff. You can make some Sahara what's this called, desert stuff environment with this system. Okay, it just basically it's also help you to create some pads and mounts basically. Okay, now once you have this thing, also you can, there's an option called ramp. So this is totally for a racing type of stuff, but it's still you can use by pressing ramp and by pressing your keyboard CTRL and press left mouse anywhere and it's basically place a landscape at here, and from there, from where you want to make that your railway or the ramp, you can choose that location and it will automatically give you this location. And also you can see the border, that how much it's going to be do. You can also make it up and down and then you can control the size even, and you can click on add a ramp, so it will be automatically create a ramp for you, which is you can be customized and you can create. Okay, so that's I said that it's basically used for making the ramps, other stuff is done. Also there's a noisy option available, or the noise, which is basically apply the random height and down for your landscape. So you can also use it for making the lakes and other stuff, because it's pretty much easy. Just give you the random values, you can play around with this and you will be get better result. The third thing at here, it's called the painting option. The painting option is totally related with the material one, so I'm not going to show you in this part, so I'm going to explain you this on the material part. Okay, so that is the everything that you need to know in the landscape as a beginner. Now let's move to foliage. So at the foliage, it's basically a system where you can put multiple assets at the same time with just pressing some button. So what does the foliage do is basically, suppose at the dream pack which I'm using, let's go to the meshes and trees. Another tree, suppose I want to place this tree at here. Okay, now I have this whole large environment. Now how gonna get if it's not possible for me to place one by one by one. Okay, it's going to be take too much time. It's possible, but it's going to be take too much time and I don't have that enough time. At that point we can use the foliage. So by pressing the foliage mode, you are able to add the foliage at here. So at here you can choose your assets at here, and once you choose, there you find some details about it. The first thing, you find the which type of asset it is. The second, you find the distance, that 1k UU, which is basically the percentage rate of the number spawning at the radius. So you can also control the radius and number of spawning. Okay, that is basically the percentage. If I say, like, if I choose a 1%, so whenever I click, as you can see, it's just placing 1%. Now if I increase it to 1, it's now I give too much, that for every click it should be spawn more trees for me. Okay, then the third thing is basically the scale. As you can see, it's currently spawning as a 0.8 scale to maximum 1. So here you can do some customization. For example, I can place 1 to 2, so it will be automatically give a random variant for me. Okay, which is basically easier for you to make a realistic environment quickly. Okay, so as you can see, it's good, but it's not really too much good at all. So because the trees must need to be some more bigger, I guess, because it's smaller. But if I say at this perspective view of a third person player, it's not too much that small. Okay, so let's place our actor or our player start location to this point, so we'll be get a better reference. Okay, what you're basically trying to do. Okay, and I do this finding option, that I choose asset and just press F keyboard, so it's basically move you and at that location as much as near as possible. Okay, so as I said, that as you can see, the scale is at here in this perspective view. It's good. Okay, now at the foliage you can see that there's some angle normal available option. As you can see, currently the trees is placing like how is the landscape, but you know, it's not realistic. And also for remove the trees, whatever you place, you can press your keyboard shift, or you can choose the erase mode and you can basically remove them as you want, as you placed. It's totally on you. And also now you want that it always should be straight. At that point you can disable the angle to normal, and now it's going to be placed. And also I'm going to increase the tree size, and I'm also get one more trees at this position, so it will be giving me a better result. So as you can see, now it's looking more great, and it's looking now more realistic for forest at this point. Okay, as you can see now, yeah, it's now looking too much good. Okay, the third thing at here you find here, if I say the curl distance. The curl distance is basically that, as you can see, there's a visibility rate that after that it should be become height or not should be visible. At that point you can choose the curl distance. So if I distance change it maximum to 2000, you will be see that lots of trees has been gone, and only because I selected this one, that's why it's happening for this. If I choose for both, and at the maximum point if I put the value to 2000, and as you can see now, if I am near of that 2000 float value, I'm going to see that trees, otherwise I'm not going to be see the trees. So I suggest for mobile game is 8000, and for the PC and others game you can choose to 20 to 25,000. So for example, I'm choosing now the 18,000, which is quite enough good. Okay, perfect. So at here you find also an option called the casting shadow. If you want to disable the shadow from any particular tree, or not only the particular tree or that particular tree group, at that point you can disable the casting shadow. It will basically disable the shadow from your tree. There's also an option called available called collisions. The collisions is basically, as I talked to already give info about this, that the collisions basically can you go inside of that. So there's a lots of type collision available. So the block one, it's mean that you can't go inside of this. The overlap, it's mean that you can go with this one, and basically it will be give you a return data of what type of actor it's overlapped or what. Then you also find the block or dynamic, which is basically pretty much used for the trees, because at this point what happened that Unreal Engine automatically decide this what type of category it is, and it will be only give the collisions on the branch, and it's don't give the collisions on the leaves. So because you know, as far we know that the most of games the leaves doesn't collide or collision. So at this point if I now try to go inside of this tree, okay, at this point also I need to set up, let me choose them all and blocked all. And if this tree have collision, so I guess this tree doesn't have any collision. So if doesn't have collision, you can put collisions inside of that. You can first click on remove collision, then you can add a capsule collision at here. You can control the size even. For get more better result, you can disable the grid system, which is basically give you more flexibilities to in this one. So actually let's put something like this. So I just put for this category tree. So now this of category trees have now the collision. Oh come on, man. Yeah, it's have that tree. As you can see now, I can't go inside of that. Why this one doesn't have? I guess this is some any other category, that's why maybe. But yeah, look, I can't go inside of this one. Okay, it's have the collisions basically. Okay, so that is the thing basically. Also there is a option available for the the overlap, dynamic, bond, physics. You can play with them, you will get the knowledge of that. Okay, what I can do with that collision. Okay, then you find the single painting option. Why are you able to plant one by one tree if you want? It's totally on you. Then you find the fill up one. The fill up, I'm not pretty sure about how to use this one, so I'm going to skip it, because look bro, I am human also. I'm not robot that I know everything. Okay. Okay, that second one, at the last you find the remove option, where you can remove the assets from here. So for example, if you want to remove any type of category, you can choose that and click on removed, and it will be give you a notification of how much tree you planted already. So you can click on delete, and it will be automatically remove from your landscape and from your foliage tool. Okay, we already learned about the landscape and the foliage. Now let's learn about the some basics about the material. Okay, now for the material, let me now give you some example of the material. Also, before do that, let me place some grass at here, so you'll be get better understand that how it's work. So I'm going to put this grass. I guess it will be okay. Wow, why it's look totally bad. I'm not sure, maybe for lightning or other stuff, because some of these assets maybe require some lightning stuff, so maybe it's that's why. But yeah, this is okay. But yeah, still I need that grass one. I didn't get whites, didn't plant it, but okay, this one also work for me. Pretty good, right? Okay, so at this point, as you can see, I have this thing, and what does the at this part it will be do, we are going to be learn about the material. Okay, so what is the material and how it's work basically? So if I show you the blender, so I'm going to show you from scratch how it's going to be work, so you'll be get better idea at the here. So basically this is a cube. Okay, why it doesn't have any color? So the material is basically kind of like a color or shading where we give it a color. Okay, kind of like red, yellow, green, or pink, whichever we want. Okay, so it's on you. That is the same thing available in Unreal Engine. We call it material. So let me put a cube at here so you can understand how the system work, and I'm going to scale it to 10 3, and let me put it at here, so it will be you'll be get better understand how it's work. So for example, by default Unreal Engine cubes or anything have a white or this the grid one, the black and white. So now for example, you want here a color, and you see here the elements, which is basically the materials, and the elements is basically the material category number. Okay, if you have multiple materials in a one single mesh, it will be show you something like that 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, something like that. Okay, for create a material, you can press right mouse and you find here the material option. You can give it name anything, kind of like a mat, and you can simply drag and drop, or even you can double click that asset and you can choose it inside of it, kind of like a assign, so it will be always display this one. Okay, that is pretty much good. Now for giving that color, you need to basically understand the parameter values inside of the material. So whenever double click and open the material, you will be see something like this, a ball with you can navigate with the left mouse, and this is basically the base color, and I'm zooming and zoom out with my pressing Ctrl plus mouse scroll and up down. Okay, so the base color is basically that what kind of color you want. So for getting a or setting a color, you can press the right mouse and promote a parameter, and at the parameter here you find the default value. So at here you can pick millions of color. Okay, it's have hexa linear, it's have hexa RGB, it's have advanced level RGB separate stuff, and also it's have a color picker event tool, and also the tuning system. So it's pretty much have everything. Even it's have eyedropper to pick up. If you want to pick any of color, you can pick it. Okay, once you pick, for example, let me pick this blue. Okay, this purple one, and click on save. Now as you can see, my cube is looking really good, and it's have basically a purple color. Okay, Now for the purple color, you find here the metallic. If you want to make this material as a metallic type stuff, you can put the value. So I'm going to put the metallic to 1, which is basically a, now it's become a now metal type material, so you'll be feel something more like a metal. Okay, then suppose you want to control the darkness and the whiteness, so you can choose the specular to give it more shiny stuff, or if you want something else, or even okay, basically it's control the AVU lightning stuff. Then suppose you want to make this thing shiny or unshine, so at that point you can get one more parameter value, and you can guess this parameter value by pressing one of your keyboard, holding that and left mouse, and you will be get this kind of like a value. You can connect to the roughness, and if you set it to value to 0.0, which is basically low number, so it will be you get a full reflection. So I'm going to put it to 0.2 and click on save. And here you can see it's looking really crazy stuff. Okay, as you can see. Okay, then here you find the emissive color, which is basically help you to control or make it a bright or the light stuff. Okay, then you find here the normal. The normal is basically give you the details of your model. Okay, for example, because I added starter pack, so the starter pack have, I guess, no, I didn't add, let me add it. So the starter pack basically have some material, so and texture. So I'm going to show you that how you can make a material from a texture. Okay, currently what we are doing is we are doing from the pick up in color or giving by the basic color. So let's put here the texture so you can understand also. So at this point, if you go to the content and start art and texture, here you find the 3 version of every texture. So because we have created a ground, so let's put a ground texture, which is basically the texture of the ground, how it should be look. Okay, then let's remove this all and let's put our RGB with this. So we have this basically this grass. Now because our grass have this thing, now also we want that we also want a normal, so it will give us the details, so we can get the normal and connect it with the normal. So as you can see, it's looking now more realistic. Now for controlling the roughness and other stuff, you can put here from anything, or you need to do some making the customized one, which is basically give you more better one. By default I'm going to connect with the RG one. Okay, and then click on save. Now if you check it, so it should be look something like this. Also you can place this thing on your landscape, so it will be also give you the same result on your landscape even. So for placing that, you can simply drag and drop, because I guess whatever level I am using, it's a call the how can I say, like it's a landscape where it's basically using the level instance. So I'm going to choose the main one, assign it. So now I have a full green landscape, as you can see. And then you can control at here, there's a lots of more available, which is basically landscape parameter value and etc more. So you can play around with that and you can get more better result. So we already learned about the texture, like how you can do it from the texture. That is pretty same. You can make a texture for the base color, for a RGB one, and for a normal, and you can connect it at here and you can create by your own material. Okay, so at the point what I left to do is the landscape painting. So for the making the landscape painting, you need to make the material not just a regular one with a landscape one. So at the parameter you find the more codes for the material, which is basically used to make and modify the material. So you can search that landscape and landscape blend, and here let's make a array, and let's make a GS grass, and let's give it preview white to 1 and get one more, and choose it as a road. So we are going to learn about like if we how we can put two materials in a same landscape. So now we have two inputs and one output. So we are going to basically connect something like this and R, and we also need one more texture. So as a road, I'm going to use the, what I can use, which one? I guess this one. Okay, look, so I'm going to use this one, and this one have his normal, so as a normal I'm going to use this. Now I can click on save. Now as you can see, it's become black. Don't worry about that, it's have the basically the material. So if you go to landscape and painting, you can see you find this both of one. You can click that add a create and create a white blade and save somewhere. So after that you'll be see that it's basically start working. So you can save them, and now you can choose them, and now you can choose the road one. And once you choose the road, now you can make your size, decide that how much size you want. You can choose the strength, and now you can paint it with by left mouse, and you are basically able to make a road quickly. So in this way you can create the road as well. So now if you click on play, and here your road is ready. Okay, that is pretty simple and pretty easy. So I guess that is all enough for today's part. In next part I'm going to explain you some blueprint code about with the third person character and the inputs, how it's work, and basically the game modes. And this is going to be end because I'm feeling sleepy right now. I'm not sure why, but I'm feeling super sleepy. So see you in next tutorial video.